From the Lament configuration, it's the IGN Digigods. Please welcome two Cenobites from hell, Mark Kaiser and Wade Major.
You know, Cenobite, doesn't that sound like something that you would do in an acting class? Of course it does. Corey, who threw that our way?
That was brought to you by Carl Naras, who deserves a shout-out for putting Mark first that time.
Of course.
Thank you very much. It's about time.
So,
yes, sir.
World Cup is on.
Don't care.
I care. By the way, I just want to say,
whatever.
My Oranje in the rematch of the last World Cup 4 years ago, the Dutch, my Oranje, clobbered the Spaniards 5-1. Worst loss by a defending champion in World Cup history. Thank you.
God, it's just so... Who gives an F?
Oh, yeah, man.
Honestly, it's just the worst.
It felt so good.
You know what? I have a theory as to why it
felt so good. Those two goals by Van Persie, 2 by Robin. Oh my gosh, beautiful. Fantastic.
Honestly, I plotzed. Okay, I have a theory as to why...
Yes.
Americans don't like World Cup.
Go ahead.
Now, I was talking to our friend Phil Klein.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Phil Klein, as you know, has no hair.
Yes.
And that's important because all of his opinions are filtered through...
But Phil also likes hockey, which Americans don't care about either.
That's true. Okay, here's the thing. Now, World Cup.
Yes.
You get these countries, Cameroon and Ghana and whatever. The World Cup is important to them because their national pride is wrapped up in how well they do in the World Cup. Okay, America doesn't care about national pride because we're already number one. We already rule the freaking world. What do we care if our stupid soccer team wins? You know, Ghana's got to use every advantage they can to make some mark on the world stage. America's the king, man. We don't care about a stupid soccer game. That's why we don't care. Okay? Cameroon needs to care.
I guess.
Because no one talks about Cameroon unless it's the World Cup.
I guess, but that doesn't account for, Germans or the French or the
same
Brits either.
It's the same thing. If the world was run by the French, if France was the number one country in the world, okay, they wouldn't
So
care
you're
about
saying
the
for the
World Cup.
Dutch, wooden shoes, it's not enough? Wooden shoes?
Windmills?
Yeah, windmills and wooden shoes, not enough?
So I was running this theory by Phil Klein.
Yes.
And Phil Klein, as you know, has no hair.
Yes.
And I'm saying this twice.
Yeah.
Because I know that Phil's going to listen to this.
Uh-huh.
Because he wants to hear us talk about it. Now, Phil, if you're listening,
yes.
Let me just say something. First of all, your dog is an idiot.
Why is his dog an idiot?
Because Molly is an idiot.
Okay.
Molly is literally the world's stupidest dog. It's a big bulldog type thing.
Okay.
I don't know. It's a mastiff. It's a bull. All I know is that it's a big lumbering brute of a dog.
Okay.
And yet she's very sweet.
Okay.
Now the dog, ironically enough, has hair. Phil has no hair.
Okay.
It's unbelievable.
This is turning into a really inside joke.
It really
Yeah.
Okay. No, but that is my theory about World Cup. That's why Americans don't care about the World Cup.
Mark, I'm going to tease what our first coverage is this week. By the way, I was on radio today.
Oh, you're big.
And you know how many movies opened up this week?
16.
I'm just going to say I was not as thorough with DVDs this week as I should have been because we had, and obviously we didn't have to see all of them, but there are 23 movies opening this week. 23. This is the week, of course, being the week of 22 Jump Street. I thought I was going to have a good joke on the radio, say, well, 22 Jump Street, and there's 22 movies opening. And then literally at the last minute, there was a new documentary on gay seniors that got thrown into some screens, and it made it 23 movies. How do you open 23 movies in the same week? It's insane.
By the way, 22 Jump Street.
Of course, we only got through like eight or 9 of them. I only watched 10, but it's crazy.
22 Jump Street, funny.
Hysterical.
Funny.
Outrageously funny, which ties into something we're going to be talking about today. And, or actually, no, we're not talking about that today. I think we're going to talk about that next week. My bad.
22 Jump Street, by the way, Phil Klein, no hair.
Yes.
22 Jump Street, funny.
Really funny.
Yes, it is.
Funny. So here, I'm going to tease something that we're going to start talking about. Corey, we got to tease our first big title of the week. Corey, tease it for us. I'm sorry, Corey. What was that again? I didn't quite make that out.
Nope.
Ah, yes, I see. You know what that means, Mark?
It means it's a flagging glagan.
That's right. Now, you and we've met Jerry.
I have not met Jerry.
You didn't meet Jerry? Didn't you meet Jerry at the LAFCA dinner?
No, that was the year before. I think that was the year before I joined. You were the one who proselytized for him to get our Lifetime
Career
Achievement Award.
You weren't in at that time.
I was not.
My goodness.
Flavin.
Well, of course, by this time I will probably have posted a photograph on the Facebook page, which will tease this show and this feature and this segment. Here's the thing. Everyone knows I love Jerry Lewis. Love Jerry Lewis. Grew up on Jerry Lewis, worship Jerry Lewis, brilliant man. In point of fact, you can download, Jerry wrote a book that's out of print, but you can download a PDF of it. You just have to do a search on it. The Total Filmmaker by Jerry Lewis, which is a compendium of notes from his lectures at USC when he taught at USC Film School. And it's amazing. It is quite possibly, along with the Sidney Lumet book and the Satyajit Ray book, Our Films, Their Films, probably the best book on just pure filmmaking theory that I've ever read.
Really?
It's
Jerry Lewis.
It's amazing.
Flavin, point the camera there. Glavin,
he lays it out there. He talks about all the stuff that most directors will never talk about. Like the John Badham book is fine. It's good. It's got a lot of great anecdotes. But Jerry really gets down to the nitty gritty.
I like the Alexander
what you do and
book.
don't do with actors. How to prepare, how not to prepare. It's like it's the nitty gritty. It's really good. It's really it's like fundamental stuff. So anyway. Jerry Lewis, of course, had been nominated many, many times over the years for the Career Achievement Award with the LA Film Critics, and always wound up being, bridesmaid, runner-up, or a third, whatever. It just there was always a faction in the room that just could not conceive of giving an award to Jerry. And then the year finally, and this predates me. This goes back a decade before I was even a member. And there was just one year, and I just came forward, and I just said, you know what, we got to do this, man. We got to. Jerry is a legend. If we don't do it, someone else will, and we need to be the first American group to legitimize him before he gets an honorary Oscar or some such junk like that, which, by the way, happened the following year. And it finally carried. The vote carried. We gave Jerry the award, and he gave one of the funniest acceptance speeches you have ever heard. Absolutely awesome. I did a little intro for him, and it was great. It was absolutely fantastic. So,
did he say Glavin?
He said lady. He never even said that in any of his movies.
Glavin?
We are, of course, we have a number of great Jerry Lewis releases that have come out from Warner Brothers, but most significantly, the Nutty Professor 50th Anniversary. I just want to point this out. This comes in one of the coolest boxes I've ever seen. First of all, it's not just some generic box. Look, it's got the little magnetic flap. See?
Yeah.
Little magnetic.
I like those magnetic flaps.
I love it.
Yes,
I love it.
agree.
So you got the little magnetic flap, which opens up, and then it lifts open, and look at the photo on the inside.
Oh,
Buddy
Glavin.
Love. My name is Buddy Love.
Glavin.
And what a magnificent thing this is. The first thing you see in here is a personal message from Jerry Lewis that says, I hate you. No, it's great. It's a whole letter on the thing. It says, the year was 1941. I was 15 years old, and I'd just seen Spencer Tracy and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And he goes through and talks about, how Nutty Professor was his 28th film.
Really?
28 films
Wow.
he'd made at that point. And this is what's cool. Look at the storyboards. Mark, check it out. Right?
Amazing. It's a little book.
It's a little book of storyboards.
It almost looks like a children's book.
But look how detailed the storyboards were.
Wow.
This is like pre-Ridley Scott, pre-Star Wars, pre-Spielberg,
Did he draw
Lucas.
those? He didn't know.
No, he didn't draw those. No, he had an artist draw these.
Thank
But
you.
this is how elaborately planned the film was. I mean, it gets into excruciating detail. Look at this. I mean, Jerry is like, people dismiss him as a director far too easily.
I know I do.
This is a serious director here. Look at this.
No, those are serious storyboards. Oh, this is a serious director.
Serious director. And then we also have this little gem, The Nutty Professor, the script annotation, script pages annotated. Look at that.
Amazing.
Right? It's great.
Why don't you just
This
admit...
is like you see all inside his process. I mean, this is amazing.
Okay, wait, no one cares. Okay, why don't
Cutting
you just...
dialogue and redoing stuff.
That's
And let me point out, you also get Instruction Book for Being a Person, or Just Feeling Better by Jerry Lewis. Hilarious. Fantastic.
Why don't you just admit that nothing will matter until we get The Day the Clown Cried?
Yeah, it's apparently not that good. But look, little pictures, all these little anecdotal things. Say I like you. Enjoy when it's said back. Don't pout if it isn't.
Wait, we get it. You like it. Move on. Here's
anyway,
a whole pile.
So
of
here's
DVDs
what you get. Here's
about.
what you get in this.
There's more.
Yes, there's more, for crying out loud. You get this CD of phony phone calls from 1959 to 1972, which is hilarious. All of his crank call stuff. The one on here, the contest winner, is just brilliant.
Oh,
absolutely
the
brilliant.
Contest winner, it's brilliant.
And then, obviously, the meat of the piece is this fantastic.
Oh, there's a movie.
Yeah, of course there is. You get the Blu-ray of Nutty Professor. You get a DVD, a Blu-ray, and then you also get, as extras, DVDs of the Errand Boy and Cinderfella, which are also fantastic. Errand Boy is great.
Wait, let me see that. Really? Give me that.
Yeah, Errand Boy and Cinderfella are extras.
Interesting. No,
yeah,
but DVDs of Errand Boy.
DVDs. And then for the Nutty Professor, you get a DVD and a Blu-ray. And remember, Cinderfella is the one that has you've seen Cinderfella, right?
It's been like 1,000 years, but yes.
Oh my gosh, it's genius.
Yeah.
It's Jerry Lewis and Cinderella doing a whole male take on it, the whole thing.
Is there a Jerry Lewis film that you feel should have been included? What's the next funniest Jerry Lewis film under Nutty Professor?
I don't even think that's the funniest. I think it's genius, but no, I mean there are funnier films.
Okay.
I mean, The Errand Boy is one of my favorites. Who's Minding the Store is one of my favorites. Probably my all-time favorite would be The Disorderly Orderly.
That's true. That's a good one.
Which is a really good one. Just because it's the whole hospital thing. It sort of fits my philosophy of life. But The Errand Boy is great. The Errand Boy is the one where he does the studio thing. He gets in the office and he does where they play the
How about
he voices, he lip syncs the instruments. It's incredibly
okay, how about
funny.
the Bellboy?
Bellboy's genius, but that's a whole different kind of thing. I mean, he wrote it in 2 minutes and shot it in a day and a half. There's that whole story.
Okay, wait, can we talk about this one thing for the whole show?
No, I want to go through because this is a big deal. The Blu-ray includes a documentary, Jerry Lewis, No Apologies, which is fantastic. Commentary with Steve Lawrence and Jerry Lewis, which was done years ago, obviously before Steve Lawrence passed. Another documentary, a bunch of featurettes, deleted scenes, bloopers, a bunch of cool stuff. But the documentary, Jerry Lewis, No Apologies, is the main thing here. Really, really nice. And the same commentary is on the DVD, although not the documentary. And the two Errand Boy Cinderfella are the same releases that they had previously. So it is a great set. The packaging is fantastic. All the printed materials are just superb. And the crank phone calls are hilarious, so you just can't go wrong there. But honestly, the best thing here are the storyboards and the annotated script. It's fantastic. I mean, this is far and away one of the best special edition sets that Warner Brothers has ever released. And that is not all, my friend. That's not all the Jerry that we have. Oh no! Warner Archive is making it the full Jerry. We got 3 Warner Archive titles. And they are middling titles, actually, I'm afraid to say. Which Way to the Front, and The Family Jewels, and Cracking Up. And the reason these are Warner Archive titles is because they're middling to not so great. But if you're a Jerry completist like I am, you definitely want to have them. It's nice to see Which Way to the Front because Jan Murray is in it, and Jan Murray's grandson is one of our very good friends. And we love Jan Murray. He was a good friend of Jerry's, and they all came from that Borscht Belt Catskillian background. It's fantastic. So anyway, this is, again, not great Jerry, but the whole World War II angle, the Nazi angle, you're like, well, he's kind of trying to do the Mel Brooks thing, so I'll roll with it. Cracking Up is such an odd movie, and this is another film that Jerry directed and wrote with Bill Richmond. It is... It's kind of, you sort of feel him aging a little bit. The slapstick isn't quite as sharp. The jokes and the gags aren't quite timed as well. The dark suicide angle to it doesn't play quite as well as it should. Family Jewels is maybe the best of the 3. And Jerry plays multiple parts here. Donna Butterworth, who plays the Little Orphan Annie kind of character in this, is fantastic. And I would say this probably should have been. This was also written with Bill Richmond. This probably should have been released like in a Jerry Lewis box set, not the Warner Archive, but still pretty fun. So if you're a Jerry Completist, it is a really, really good week. Definitely go to town on all that stuff.
Well, you sure did.
Yes, I did. And
now let's talk about something else.
Yes,
Anything else?
Well, that's our lead thing. So we also have some listener mail this week.
We do.
We do have some listener mail. We're going to get into that. We also have a giveaway.
We do.
We do have a giveaway. A really awesome giveaway, by the way. But before we get into everything else, Mark, we should blow through some television.
We should. Now, Wade, I know you don't like Seth MacFarlane.
I really don't.
Look, I'm going to give you one reason.
Yeah, I know.
And I might have said this the other week, actually. I'm going to give you one reason to love Seth MacFarlane.
Please do.
Now, Seth MacFarlane, he is the king of Fox, right?
Yeah.
He had Family Guy on. It's made them hundreds of millions of dollars. Family Guy made Fox hundreds. American Dad, lots of money.
Sure.
Cleveland Show, not as much. What I'm saying is that Seth MacFarlane is a comedy institution.
I guess.
He is the king of Fox.
He shouldn't put himself in movies.
And that's fine. And the animation domination, blah, blah. Ted, huge international hit, right?
Yeah.
This guy has carte blanche to do whatever he wants. He could literally spend $150 million to make a gigantic fart movie. But instead, he says to Fox, I want you to give me 9 hours of primetime programming so I can do a no BS, serious Cosmos. That's cool.
See, I grew up on Cosmos.
Here we go. I know it's not billions and billions and blah, blah, blah.
It's not Carl Sagan, man.
So what?
Do they use Vangelis music in the score? In the music? No.
Who
do
cares?
they use Larry Fast and Synergy? No.
That's all. Those are not legitimate reasons to dislike Cosmos.
Yeah, I love the original series.
Well, we all love and you know who else loves the original series? Seth MacFarlane. He was so influenced by it, he wanted to show homage to it. The show actually includes plenty of Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan is quoted in this. You see him in this.
Speaking of Phil, and hockey...
Yeah, Phil has no hair.
I know. And you realize that Phil is right at this very moment experiencing like some surreal out-of-body experience. You know why?
Because the Kings won the Stanley Cup.
In double overtime.
You know what? I know nothing about hockey and don't like hockey. But I bet if it's double overtime and they score the winning goal to win the championship, that's like 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, Game 7 World Series time.
Yep.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I admit it. That's cool.
That's cool. All right.
Anyway, so Cosmos is great. It's great. It's the real thing. Neil, what's his name? He's terrific.
Neil deGrasse
Tyson.
Yeah, that guy.
He's just a great presence. He's so smart. He's very personable. The guy's like a superstar.
And Anne Droyan was involved in this as well, who is, of course, Carl Sagan's widow and co-author on many of his things. And yes, so she was deeply involved in this to make sure that the spirit of Carl Sagan was alive and well and all that stuff. And yeah, I get it. I will saturate myself with it, and I will thoroughly enjoy it, I'm sure. I have little doubt about that. We've also got NYPD Blue, still keeps trickling out. Season 6 from Shout Factory. This is, of course, with Rick Schroeder stepping into the show. And, it's interesting. This was such a hot show in its time, and this was one of the last big Botchko shows. And it still holds up. I think it really does. I think it still holds up. I think the writing's sharp. I think the style is sharp. It was sort of an outcropping in some sense of Hill Street Blues, not associated with Hill Street Blues, which of course was technically supposed to be set in Chicago. But, Dennis Franz was on Hill Street Blues. He segued into this. And so it sort of tried to import a lot of the same sensibilities. A lot of interesting cameos and guest spots on this. And I think the show still holds up. So season 6, 22 episodes. Very well done.
Wade, can I tell you what's going on in the world of Blu-rays to be released?
Yes, please.
I don't know why you don't care about this stuff. I personally
really don't
care deeply about what Blu-rays are about to be released,
Good.
Especially if it's, get this, ladies and gentlemen, 4K transfer, Ghostbusters 1 and 2.
That is going to be a great set.
Coming out
that
September 16th.
That is going to be a great set. Yeah, I already put our bag in for that. Begged him big time.
That is going to be cool. Because I am one of the only people who liked Ghostbusters 2.
You know what? I love Ghostbusters 2 for one reason. It's not a great movie, but I love it for one reason.
Because that guy, that short guy, what's his name again?
Peter MacNicol.
Yes.
Because of the moment when Peter MacNicol comes out of his trance and he's covered with slime, and he says with that really ridiculous accent, "Why am I covered with goo?" I don't know why that line just, it rocked me. I laughed and I laughed and I laughed and I wept and tears poured out of my eyes, and then now I'm crying because they're talking about trying to do a third Ghostbusters, and I don't understand why. Just leave it alone. Ramus is gone. Just don't. Just that's it. It's
That's
over.
not going to happen now.
It's not going to happen.
No.
It shouldn't happen. But you know what will happen?
What?
You know damn well
what?
That at some point, when Bill Murray is gone and Dan Aykroyd is gone and Ernie Hudson is gone, and like in 50 years from now, when Ivan Reitman is gone, and when Jason Reitman is an old man, they're gonna be saying, we need the new Ghostbusters, and they're gonna like hire some schmoey young idiot and stick him in with a bunch of other young idiots and make a new Ghostbusters, and it'll be horrible. They won't stop. They just will not let these things go.
I agree.
Dreadful.
Wade, let's talk about House of Cards.
Yeah.
Now, Wade, as you know.
Yes. Phil Klein has no hair. Phil's going to be thrilled that he's become the running joke on this week's show.
Now, I watched House of Cards season 1, and...
it's a good show.
Well, did you watch it?
Mm-hmm.
Here's my thing with House of Cards.
I've watched the British show, too, which I think is better.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Here's
but it doesn't have Kevin Spacey. It's got that other dude.
That's true.
Yeah.
Benny Hill. There was a Benny Hill joke in 22 Jump Street.
Benjamin Hill's a cool film. Oh my gosh, it's so great. And you know what? I mean, I saw it with a bunch of kids.
Plebes.
Not one of them got that joke. Nobody got that joke. And there's like that brief little music cue that is supposed to everything speeds up and you're supposed to get the joke. And it was almost too fleeting of a joke. And I looked around and I was like, are you people that lame? Like, are you so lame that you're out of touch with Benny Hill?
Yes, you know what? 21-year-olds are not going to know Benny Hill.
Okay, that needs to stop.
People born in like 1995 are not going to know Benny Hill.
That needs to change. That desperately needs to change.
Okay. You realize we're never going to get through all this stuff.
Let's do it. Let's
House
rock
of
and roll.
Cards. Here's the thing with House of Cards. I saw the first season. First 6 episodes, brilliant.
Yeah.
Thought it was great.
Yeah.
Last 6 episodes, it became a little too silly.
Yeah.
First episode of the second season, which is now on Blu-ray, I lost it.
Yep.
Because something happens in the first episode where you're like, really? The Vice President of the United States is going to go down into a subway and do that? Really? Now it's no longer realistic. It's no longer like this ripped from the headlines, behind-the-scenes thing. It's now become a complete 9-time soap opera. And I kind of lost interest. It does pick up steam later in the season, but now my love is conditional.
Okay.
It's no longer unconditional love. But anyway, it's great stuff. It's still House of Cards. It's still Netflix planting their flag for quality programming. And if you got season 1, you got to get season 2. I don't know. Look, this thing's already on Netflix. You can download this on Netflix all day long.
But it's Blu-ray. It's like intense and good and sharp. And if you really love the show, you want to have it at your fingertips just in case the internet goes down.
Now, Wade.
Yes.
Tosh.0. Now, Tosh.0 is a Comedy Central show. I'm going to say something controversial.
Go ahead.
Daniel Tosh, his stand-up, funny. He's a funny stand-up. The show, I'm less enamored with. You know what I just realized, Wade?
Huh?
Shoot. I just realized that I have laundry in the dryer.
Oh,
and I got to get it out.
You better go do that.
I have to do that.
Yes, you do.
Because we're recording this at my home.
Yes, we are.
And I have laundry in.
Okay, well, you do that, and I will roll through some things.
Because I think right now, my laundry is done. Hang on.
Well, you go do that
Don't
since
stop
you're not
recording.
Since you're not fixing me any food anymore, so I might as well let you do that. All right, I'm going to roll through a bunch of Mill Creek releases of old classics. Facts of Life, seasons 1 and 2, a 2-season combo pack is out from Mill Creek in a bargain set. I highly recommend this for one primary reason. Never mind the fact that when you look at seasons 1 and 2 on the cover, you see Mindy and Tootie and Joe, and you're like, yeah, and Blair. And you're like, okay, no. The first season is the amazing season that has all of these other actresses who were kicked off after the first season when they completely reconceived the show and they changed the cast, they switched everything up. That first season is amazing. There are like 5 actresses in that first season who don't show up in the rest of the show, including a very young Molly Ringwald on roller skates. So the first season of Facts of Life is fantastic. That's why you should get this pack. Also, the complete series of Gidget, starring Sally Field, is on a new bargain-priced set from Mill Creek. Really, really fun. Sally Field did a great job on that show. It didn't last very long. You also get The Jeffersons seasons 1 and 2, which is great. That's right when it spun off from All in the Family. And those first 2 seasons are when it really, really kind of cements its, gets its cred going. All the characters were introduced. The new apartment is introduced. Fantastic. Good Times, season 3 and 4. Good Times, sadly, dates kind of poorly. Jimmy Walker, not so funny anymore in hindsight.
You know, when Jimmy Walker was on one of the late night shows, I watched him.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
I know. He's got
nothing to say.
He's got nothing to say. He's kind of looking at like Chris Rock, and he probably thinks, damn, you know, that guy stole my gig. Anyway, but, you know, some really good acting on the show. Apart from Jimmy Walker, Jeanette Dubois, John Amos, Esther Roll, a really good cast. And another success at the time from Norman Lear. And then the complete 4th season of Highway to Heaven, Michael Landon's television swan song after a great career, which sort of set up Touched by an Angel in many respects. It was sort of the same kind of thing. Divine intervention and whatnot. Very successful show in its time, and this is season 4 at a bargain price from Mill Creek. So that's a nice new batch of stuff from Mill Creek.
Longmire is a show on A&E that got renewed for a 3rd season. This is seasons 1 and 2 on a Blu-ray set, and it's based on a series of mystery novels. And you know, I don't know about the show. I didn't watch all of them, but I did watch some of them. It's okay. I mean, you know, I like the fact that it takes place kind of in this rugged kind of terrain. It's kind of cool. It could almost be a Western, but it takes place in the present day. It's a lot of mysteries going on. A lot of interesting characters. Lou Diamond Phillips is in it. It's kind of nice to see him again. But ultimately, I don't know that there's really enough going on here for me to want to sit through this over and over again on Blu-ray. Looks nice, good-looking Blu-ray. There's a lot of great Vista shots. You know, a lot of great scenery in it. Very stylish. Yeah, I just don't know if this is something that you're going to want to revisit. Longmire on A&E.
It's you know what I think it'll. I think Longmire will age well with time. I do.
You do?
Yeah, I kind of do. I think it'll. I don't think it's ever going to be like a legendary. Oh my gosh, Longmire! I gotta have every. But I think it'll be one of the more stable shows. I think it's well done enough.
The regular show, season 3. This is on the Cartoon Network. This is a strange little show, I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
But there's 39 episodes, which is nice, and the DVD, ladies and gentlemen, not the Blu-ray. If I may say. There's 40 episodes here, and I don't know about the show. I skimmed this show because it was one of those like weird shows where like the animation is just kind of cut rate, but that's part of the funkiness of it, the fact that, you know, there's not a lot of detail in the characters. So it's really all about how goofy and crazy and wacky the characters are. Anyway, it's about a blue jay and a raccoon, and they're groundskeepers at a park.
Sweet.
And they try to entertain themselves.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, some of this stuff is just too weird for me. I guess I'm just old.
And then wrapping up television, we have season 1 of Crossing Lines, which is worth watching for the cast, and it's a really interesting cast, to be honest. First of all, Crossing Lines this is all about the International Criminal Court. And so it's kind of like trying to it's sort of like they're trying to elevate Law and Order to a heavy international level, trying to raise the stakes and, you know, give you a glimpse into an international court system that we're not overly familiar with. And it's well written, it's well put together, it's pretty sharp. But really, the reason to watch this is just because the cast is so tremendously good. Donald Sutherland, amazing, always great. William Fichtner, starting to really kind of age and grow into a really interesting character. Always really like that guy. And it has Mark Lavoine on it. Now, Mark Lavoine, who is this kind of scary-looking dude over here. See him on the cover there, Mark?
No, because your finger's over it.
Mark Lavoine.
Ooh, he's a scary-looking dude.
See, people are like, oh, Mark Lavoine. No, Mark Lavoine is a French pop star. He's a French singing star. At least he was big time in the 80s. He has this like deep kind of spooky voice. And
is that what he sounds like?
Well,
you're guilty.
Well, he's really good on the show. Actually, I had no idea. I actually, when I worked at Air France years ago as a passenger service agent, I remember checking him in once. And I was like, oh, Marc Lavoine, I remember when I lived in France, you had that great hit, Sur le parking des anges. It's a really cool song. It was cool. And I still have the album. So anyway, that's worth checking out. Crossing Lines has not really gotten a huge amount of heat, but I'm hoping this thing really kind of catches fire a little bit. It as far as I know, it's been renewed, right?
Which one?
Crossing Lines?
I don't know.
It's 10 episodes, season 1. It's not canceled or anything, right?
No, I don't know.
Because it's good. It needs to continue.
I used to have Crossing Lines on Google Alerts. So every time there was a story on Crossing Lines, I canceled it though.
I'm going to hit you with a frying pan in a moment. And then Kung Fu: The Legend Continues. The complete first season was a terrible, dreadful, miserable attempt to reboot the Kung Fu franchise.
Did you like it?
It's so bad. It's really, really bad. It's sort of David Carradine coming back and mentoring the son that he never knew he had, and it's not good. And now there's like a grandson, and there's they try to make this thing the whole like present day and his legacy, and still have him in flashbacks, and none of it works. It's really, really awkward, and it should never have been done. And that's from the Warner Archive collection as well, and deservedly so. So, Mark, we're gonna before we plow into the rest of this stuff, we got a lot of really great stuff coming, but we have a giveaway.
A giveaway?
We have a giveaway. One Blu-ray. We're giving away one Blu-ray.
Of just anything, some random movie, or
random movie, whatever Blu-ray you want. Anybody, no.
You know, Wade, you are going to give away.
You know what I'm giving away?
Well, what?
You know what I'm giving away?
Tell me now.
Here's what people need to do. You're going to send it. First of all, if you want to send us email or send us a Vox box, we need Vox boxes, we need emails, send them to gods@digigods.com. Everything comes to gods@digigods.com. If you want to insult Mark, you want to insult me, you want to argue with us, go to the Facebook page.
Phil has no hair. You can tell Phil has no hair.
You can go to the Facebook page, and a lot of people are arguing with each other there. But otherwise, send us an email at gods@digigods.com. And we want to hear from you. I want you to open up an email. Write in the subject line Wes, W-E-S. Just send it. Just write Wes, W-E-S, and then put your name and address in the body of the email, and you will be in the running. As long as we get your email by the 20th, as long as it is time and date stamped on the 20th of June, 2014. Wes in the subject line, name and address in the body of the email, you will be in the running to get a Blu-ray of the Grand Budapest Hotel.
I like that movie.
Do you want to be in the running?
Yeah.
You can enter.
It's delightful. Did you see it? You saw it?
I haven't watched it yet.
It's delightful.
I know.
It's so good.
That's what I've heard.
Wes Anderson, that guy's on a roll, man.
Yep.
He is on a roll.
Yeah.
And not just a Kaiser roll.
Yeah. So it is on its way. And I have not watched it yet, but deeply looking forward to it.
Okay, can you deeply keep talking about DVDs?
Yes,
because
absolutely.
we will never get through everything we have to get through.
Yep.
If we don't start rolling.
Indeed. So
you are not even paying attention. What did I just say?
You want me to move? You want me to speed it up?
Wow, he was listening.
Yep, I was absolutely working it. So okay, so we're gonna start getting through some more of this stuff here. Okay, new movies.
Yes,
I want to put a shout out for this. They make a lot of cool stuff in Canada these days, and this is a Canadian independent film. Mostly, here's the model of these things, and we talked about this, in previous weeks when they'll get these American stars, they bring them into a Canadian genre film or whatever it is, and it makes it look like a Hollywood movie, kind of second tier, but a little bit better. Anyway, The Machine is one of those. Doesn't have a great cast. It's got Toby Stephens is kind of like the guy who holds the fort down, but then it has Katie Lotz, who's really good, by the way. Katie Lotz is terrific in this, and Katie Lotz plays this woman. Well, here's the thing: It's
what's the thing, Wade?
Let me step back. Let me take a step back.
Take a step back. What's the thing?
You're in the future. It's
right.
one of these situations where you have where they're looking. The world is in a horrible situation. We're kind of at war with China, and they're looking to develop a super soldier. And Toby Stephens plays a scientist who he's like a cyber technologist, and he's trying to invent the super soldier. And through a very disturbing series of sequences, Katie Lotz becomes she's a fellow scientist who winds up essentially being killed and RoboCop style turned into his new cyber super soldier. And then of course you get into this kind of almost a Terminator thing where the soldiers who have been modified and changed and had their brains altered and whatnot, they want to rebel against the system that is keeping them oppressed and so forth. The whole thing takes place in the single facility, so it's all very contained, very low budget, but really smart, and it doesn't really get into a lot of action set pieces until the end, which I appreciated. So I thought this was a surprisingly cool genre film on a low budget with a great cast, and Katie Lotz is going to be huge. She's going to be huge.
She's huge what?
No, she's going to be big. I mean, I'm just saying she's going to be really, really big. And she's already kind of got a following as Black Canary on Green Arrow, on The Arrow. The DC series, right?
Yes.
On Arrow, yeah. She plays Black Canary on that. And you know the whole thing, right? Green Arrow and Black Canary are husband and wife, and there's a whole thing. You've never read Black Canary comic books, have you?
No, I have. I didn't remember they were husband and wife.
Yeah, well, anyway. She's really good on that show, too, but she's fantastic in this movie. And then also, let me do real quickly, a little bit of Jesus action here, which probably should have been in time for Easter. We got a documentary called Bible Quiz by Nicole Teeny, which was a 2013 Slam Dance winner for Best Documentary. And this is basically like, what was it, Spellbound.
Right.
It's about Spellbound, except this is you're supposed to memorize all this stuff for the National Bible Quiz Championship. And it centers on this one girl, and it's not condescending or mean or smarmy or anything. It's just a really, really good story about a fascinating young girl. And then, obviously, there is the movie Son of God, which we have in a Blu-ray, DVD, digital HD, ultraviolet combo set. Basically, this was just an edited down and somewhat boned up version of the Bible, which was the miniseries on the History Channel that Roma Downey and Mark Burnett did, which is not very good. And but it made a ton of money. And even though it was edited down from a miniseries, people went and saw it and bought tickets, and there you go. So I don't think it's very good. It's biblically accurate. Mm-hmm. Probably more so than most of these things, but I don't know that makes it a good story, frankly. It just makes it kind of familiar. But they load this thing up with some fairly decent extras, a lot of little featurettes, a thing called Son of God Reborn, a little thing from the set, and they even have some little educational stuff on here. And it's got ultraviolet on it. And then that contrasts with an interesting VCI release called Jesus the Christ from their Bible series, which is a much older film from 1952, one of the more obscure Jesus movies from an era when there were really a fair amount of them, but most of them came in the 1960s. This is from 1952, so this even predates Ben-Hur, and that's rather unusual. And this film is not very well known, but it has some interesting people in the cast, including Martin Balsam, of all people. This thing kind of faded away, and it's a bit of a novelty. It's not very good, to be honest. It's a little stodgy and not terribly well acted, but it's as kind of a nostalgic kitsch piece. If you're into that kind of thing, if you're like trying to get a complete set of Jesus movies, you're going to have that one.
Here's what you don't have to have, Wade, is Adult World. Now, Adult World is with Emma Roberts and John Cusack. Mm-hmm. And look, I was a little bit unfair. It's actually not a terrible movie. It's a comedy about this young girl, Emma Roberts. She's just graduated college, and she's going to go off and be a famous writer, famous poet. But she moves back in with her parents and has to get a job. So she winds up working at an adult bookstore. That's the high concept thing.
Nice.
So it does have some interesting things to say about growing up and what it means to finally come into your own, and what it means to actually pursue art as a career and a life and a passion. So there is some incisive stuff there. It works in bits more than it works as a whole. But if you want to be moderately kind of surprised, I guess Adult World is not so bad. Also, David Gordon Green has the weirdest career of any director in the world.
Dude, I can't figure it out. I just can't.
Joe, which really is almost a comeback vehicle for Nicolas Cage, if anybody had seen it. It's very powerful. It's very atmospheric. It's a very interesting story. The kid in it, Ty Sheridan, is just great. And it's based on a novel. And, Nicolas Cage plays this ex-con who meets this kid who's kind of down on his luck, and they kind of create a friendship together, and they kind of go on the run together. And it's really interesting. Cage is very focused. He's very intense. It's a good performance. It really should have been, again, it should have been his comeback role, but no one saw it. But you guys should maybe check it out. Joe on Blu-ray.
Nice. Blow into some foreign language films here. There's I like Korean films. This is one that was a huge success in South Korea, and I'm finding that any time, for some reason, the films that I tend to like from some of these countries are middling successes. But anytime something is like a legendary hit in Japan or South Korea or India or China, it winds up being something that is so inside baseball, something that is just tapped so deeply into the culture and the consciousness that I cannot relate. The Attorney is one of those. This is out from Wellgo in just a DVD set, and I got to tell you, I kind of don't get it. Even though I understand that Song Kang-ho, who's been in some really, really huge films, including Snowpiercer and Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance.
Oh, I love Snowpiercer.
Yeah, he's in it. I mean, he's a big deal in South Korea. He's like Gangnam Style movie star. But The Attorney is based on a real event, a real guy who was kind of a sleazy attorney. He'd been a judge, and then he abandoned his judgeship, and he started being like this real estate attorney, and he's literally soliciting real estate work, like handing his card out, which is a big no-no down there. Just throwing your card at everybody like, hey, hire me, I'm an attorney, here's my card. Very sleazy. But he just figured there was a lot of opportunity to build a practice around that, and then it takes this bizarre turn where he has to, become like a civil rights attorney and try this really big case that involves government brutality, and it's a very strange film. The performances are good, but it just feels like it just doesn't all kind of move the right way. Everything feels mislubricated. But that being said,
mislubricated?
Yeah, it's like things, some things move better, like some parts move better than others. It doesn't feel like it's a well-oiled machine. Mislubricated is the opposite of a well-oiled machine.
Now, is Miss Lubricated married to Mr. Lubricated?
Oh, see, whatever. And then a couple from Raro Video, who is now distributed through Kino. Raro Video has been releasing a lot of really cool, primarily Italian cult stuff for years. And I got an interesting story about one of these, to be honest. It's rather ironic that it comes out this week, especially in combination with some other things we're talking about. But the first of these is the DVD of Blue Movie. Blue Movie by Alberto Cavallone. This is the unrated director's cut, and I know you're thinking, oh, Blue Movie, I know what that is. They're working blue. No, not so much. It kind of, sort of. I mean, there's like a weird S&M deal here, but it's this is from 1973, and it's primarily about a very, very obsessive relationship, and it's not titillating in the least. It's not It's not the Bertolucci film Last Tango in Paris, but it's also not really exploitative and kind of slimy. It's kind of somewhere in between the two. And then also from Raro Video on Blu-ray this time, in a gorgeous, gorgeous transfer from the original 35mm negative, is Liliana Cavani's I Cannibali. And here's what's interesting about that. Are you familiar with Liliana Cavani?
Oh, that's Mr. and Mrs. Cavani's
Sure you are.
kid.
Yeah, whatever. No, of course you are. You've seen The Night Porter.
Yeah, that is true.
That's her big film.
Oh, okay.
That was the big film that she did. Night Porter was her big film. But she's never been extremely well exposed here. And she also made a film called La Pelle, which means the skin, which just a few days ago, Andy and I did the commentary for Cohen. Cohen Media is going to be releasing The Skin later this year. And so we really boned up on our Cavani and watched the film. And I got to tell you, Liliana, I mean, she was a major Italian director at a time when Lina Wertmuller was the major female Italian director. So Cavani never quite got the limelight she needed. But La Pelle has some La Pelle is all about the American invasion of Italy at the end of World War II, primarily in Naples, and she's in some big epic scenes there. I mean, really good at staging them, and it's very different from The Night Porter, but it's very shocking in the same sense. This is really interesting because this is entirely a different kind of a film altogether. Again, this was made in 1969, very brief. It's only 87 minutes long. It just gets into her, it's her gruesome side, but not quite the giallo gruesome side. In The Skin, everything's very giallo-like. It's really kind of gory and gruesome because it's World War II. But here, you find like there are literally corpses by the hundreds and thousands of boys and girls in this dystopian future all over the streets. Because there is this weird kind of 1984 Orwellian government that will not bury them, and you wind up getting into this sort of Brave New World Logan's Run plot after that, where they're kind of challenging the government, and it's really kind of interesting. In theory, it's an adaptation of Antigone. I've seen Antigone. I had a hard time seeing how this is like anything. It's really much more like Logan's Run and Brave New World than anything else. Or even 1984. But they named the character Antigone, and apparently that's the idea behind it. So anyway, this was her third film. It's on Blu-ray. Definitely worth checking out, especially if you're a fan.
Wait, here's something I'm a fan of.
Yeah.
Ernest and Celestine.
Oh, so good.
Now, can I be honest?
Yeah.
Now, when I was given the screener for this,
yes,
to consider it for LAFCA,
indeed,
I put it in.
Sure, you did.
Watched 10 minutes.
Of course, you did.
I said, you know what? I don't think I'm gonna like this. I don't think I'm gonna like this movie.
It's wonderful.
And I stopped watching it. Then, after you know how it is. You do
Sure.
screener after 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 screener in anticipation of the voting. And then I said, you know what? I'll watch the rest of this because people seem to be liking it. I watched the rest. Delightful.
Absolutely.
Very delightful.
See?
It totally won me over big time.
Telling you.
Nominated for an Oscar. It's based on the famous series of books by some French dude.
Yep.
And it's got a great voice cast. Although, you know what? Watch it in the French language with the English subtitles, folks.
Yes.
Do you really need Nick Offerman?
No.
And Forrest Whitaker
No.
and whatever, Megan Mullally doing it? That's just terrible.
No.
You know who does that crap?
Yeah.
Harvey Weinstein.
Yep.
He does that crap.
Mm-hmm.
You should just listen to it in the French and
so
forget
charming.
about the
It's so charming.
No, it's great. You know what? I almost didn't watch it.
What I love most about this movie is the artwork it doesn't feel like an animated film. It feels like a storybook.
That's true. It really does. It
feels
really
like
does.
a storybook. And
Watercolor. It has a certain watercolor feel.
Watercolor feel to it. It's just delightful. It's just so delightful. No, it's absolutely wonderful. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Feature-length animatic. Wow. That's pretty cool. I am going to have to show that to my little girl. Just going to have to do that. We got a couple from Criterion here. One is foreign, one is domestic. The domestic film, I'm just going to make mention of it real quickly first, is Douglas Sirk's All That Heaven Allows on a dual format edition, Blu-ray and DVD. All That Heaven Allows is essentially the Douglas Sirk's very subversive look at the American society in the 1950s, Ozzie and Harriet society, which a lot of people have interpreted as being kind of a celebration of it in some sense, but it's also sort of an attack on it. Jane Wyman and Rock Hudson are both fantastic. It is really the cinematography by Russell Meddy that just makes the film glow. It just glows, and it is beautiful. It's probably a little too melodramatic for my taste. Most Sirk is. I kind of have to sort of swallow my aesthetic when I watch his films a little bit, but I can appreciate them. And tons of fantastic extras here, including Rock Hudson's home movies from 1992. and a French television interview with Douglas Sirk that was done in 1982 that is really, really excellent. And then there are some excerpts from a 1979 BBC documentary called Behind the Mirror, which I wish they had the whole thing of, but unfortunately they can only get the excerpts. So we'll have to get the whole thing some other way. And then there is Contract Kid, William Reynolds on Douglas Sirk, which is a 2007 interview. So that's, for Douglas Sirk fans, a must. And then my pick of the week in many respects, I have to make an exception because of one of the next films I'm going to talk about, Michelangelo Antonioni's L'Eclisse, which is also in a double format edition from...
That's French for the Cleese.
Oh, dear. I don't know why I do this show with you. This is from 1962, the same year as Lawrence of Arabia and many other fine films. A great year. And this is the last of Michelangelo Antonioni's trilogy on the modern world and its corrupt ways, which also includes La Notte and L'Avventura. So if you like either of those two films, you're going to love this. Francisco Rabal, Monica Vitti, and the great Alain Delon. It's just fantastic. It's really you start to hate people after you watch those three films, and in a good way. And then a couple of amazing films from Costa Gavras. First, his newest movie, Capital, which is Costa Gavras' response to the current situation in the world finance and banking and the World Bank and the financial collapse and all of that stuff. Gabriel Byrne is very, very good in it. Gad Elmaleh, the French actor, is also very, very good in it. A lot of people really, really ripped on this, but I think they missed the fact that it really means to be a comedy thriller. It's supposed to be funny, but it's also supposed to be a thriller, and that's a tricky thing to pull off.
And plus, Costa Gavras is not known as being the most hilarious director in the world.
Well, but he's made funny films in the past. I mean, he has a sense of humor when you meet him. He's a very funny guy, but he's also a very, very didactic guy, and he's a deep thinker. And this is a sharp film. It's a really sharp film. It basically begins when you have this bank CEO who dies on a golf course. And then that sets in motion all this other stuff that becomes very, very kind of crooked and corrupt. The other pick of the week, I have to say, is Costa Gavras' incredibly underrated Amen, which was made in 2002. And this is it's actually based on a play, but it expands on the play. And it's primarily about Kurt Gerstein, played by Ulrich Tukur, who was an SS officer during World War II, who was a chemical engineer and thought he was developing stuff to just kind of fight viruses on the front lines, and it turned out he was creating the foundational material for the gas that was used to kill Jews in Auschwitz and elsewhere. And rather than sort of run away, or what, he decided to keep working so that he could expose this from the inside, because he was a devoutly religious Protestant. And so he sabotages it whenever he can, but otherwise he works to try to get word to the Pope, even though he's a Protestant, in hopes that word will get out and the world will find out what the atrocities are that are happening in Germany. It's a remarkable story, incredible performances, but the most impressive thing about this Blu-ray, Mark, you know what rocks this Blu-ray? The commentary.
By you?
Basically by Costa Gavras, but me interviewing Costa Gavras. That's right. This was a delightful commentary to do. I was intimidated beyond all belief. If I'm sitting there with Andy Klein or with you or somebody else and just kvetching about a movie and the camera work, I'm fine with that. But when suddenly they say, be at the studio at 9 a.m., and Costa wants to talk about this, and you need it. Suddenly, I'm like breaking out in a cold sweat. I've interviewed Costa before. I interviewed him at Colcoa before, a full auditorium. I interviewed him for an article for the DGA Quarterly. I mean, I've talked to him many times, but to do a commentary with the guy, to sit there and have him talk about his own movie and ask him questions, oh my gosh, I broke out in a cold sweat. Wound up being delightful, just wonderful. We had great conversations. And so, without patting myself overly on the back, it was a delightful commentary, and I hope everybody enjoys it. So, Wade and Costa together again. We're going on the road.
You suck. Anyway,
thank you.
Now, my foreign film of the week is Omar, which is a absolutely
the Palestinian deal,
gripping,
political thriller.
Yes, directed by Hani Abu Assad. I believe his name is.
Well, he's kind of like the main the main Palestinian guy. He got the Oscar nomination for his last film, which the title of which is slipping my mind.
Hang on, I'm going to call this up in a second. I'm going to remember it because I know it is going to be called The Courier. No.
He
don't forget me.
Paradise
Istanbul.
Now.
Paradise Now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I remember that was a while ago.
About the two guys who were going to be suicide bombers.
Sure.
Really good.
Yep.
Really good.
Omar's
film.
good too.
Cool.
About this guy, he's a Palestinian. He's a baker, Palestinian.
Like Kathy.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And then he.
See what I did there? I made a little. Yeah.
You know, is he a freedom fighter? Is he a terrorist? He gets coerced into confessing to this murder.
Sure.
And I'm not going to say what happens because this thing is twisty, but yet it's not twisty in like a melodramatic way. I mean, it's very politically electric and now and very current and just really exciting. There's a twist at the end that's really awesome. And I'm not saying that Omar is like, Saturday night
Fever
viewing with you. Nothing is Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that this is Omar's Saturday night viewing with the girlfriend, but I have to say this thing is very involving, and there is a love story involved, but still, it's just a great thriller. Omar, check it out. My foreign film pick of the week.
I'm going to blow through some horror films, and then we're going to do some listener mail. I did not have an enormous amount of time to really do due diligence on this stuff this week.
Jesus Christ!
Because there were 23 freaking movies opening. Again, I only saw like 9 of them to talk about. I pulled a freaking all-nighter, man. I stayed awake before radio, and I'm normally not very sharp on radio unless I get a good night's sleep. But it was down to the wire, and I stayed awake all freaking night. I pulled an all-nighter watching movies.
You never sleep anyway.
It was the worst.
You never? When do you go to sleep normal night? When do you go to sleep? Normal day. So the average Tuesday.
3.
Okay, and then you wake up when?
6:30.
So pulling an all-nighter means not sleeping for another 3 hours.
Yeah, that's my life. Anyway, so let me go through some horror and culty stuff real quickly. We got a super cool title here. Did you ever see Adjust Your Tracking, the untold story of the VHS collector?
I did not.
2-disc set. This is pretty great. This is about people who still collect VHS. And it is unbelievable. There's still a whole subculture of these people, and they're insane. But somehow I admire them. And there are all kinds of reasons for doing this. A lot of these films can't be found any other way. I mean, there's just an enduring culture of people who still swear by VHS, and they have their collections, the whole thing. A lot of fun. Good doc, really good doc. It just takes you all the way back into the age of video stores and Quentin Tarantino and all that nonsense, and it is an awful lot of fun. So that's a 2-disc set, comes with commentary and tons of extras, and it is all absolutely worth it. Which brings us to 13 Sins from the director of The Last Exorcism, who's kind of a big cheese now all of a sudden. He's getting Daniel Stamm, he's getting all kinds of offers to do bigger and better films. The only thing that makes 13 Sins interesting is some decent casting, including Ron Perlman, who shows up in every damn thing these days, including Charles de Lauzirika's film. But you also got Pruitt Taylor Vince, who I even forgot was around, with his little eye twitch and the whole deal.
That guy's still around?
He's still around, man. Still around. So anyway, this is all right. It's better, I think, than The Last Exorcism. 13 Sins, it's got some decent performances. Pruitt Taylor Vince, he's aged a good little bit, but that's okay. Forget about all the other junk on here. The deleted sequence and the alternate ending and all that stuff. It's just it's a good little suspensey, spooky movie. Also, along those lines, The Monkey's Paw. Which is definitely odd and unusual. I'm not so sure how much I'm into. This thing gets into the whole occulty bit of black magic and talismans and all that sort of stuff, and it doesn't really work. It feels like you know what it feels like? It feels like a Dario Argento movie wannabe, in some sense.
You know what? I don't like Dario Argento,
yeah.
So I wouldn't like the wannabe.
But anyway, that's from Scream Factory. That's on Blu-ray. If you like the occulty stuff that sort of feels very 70s-ish, I guess you'll enjoy it. This is the 20th anniversary special edition of Invasion of the Scream Queens. And that era has gone. There was an era when we had these young actresses who were just, all they did was take their clothes off and allow themselves to be slathered in blood and gore for low-budget horror movies. And they had a whole cult following for that. And that's what this is about. This is directed by Donald Farmer, who is himself something of a legend in that field. And this is a behind-the-scenes look at all of that whole scene. Takes you all the way back. And you get Melissa Moore and Brinke Stevens, Mary Woronov, Michelle Bauer. So for people who love that whole scene, which was primarily a VHS scene, you'll certainly enjoy that. Alpha Alert is one of those experiment gone wrong movies with a cast that you've never heard of. It's okay. I watched about 30 minutes of this thing. I have no idea how it ends, but it certainly seemed to be, sufficiently scary and suspenseful enough. You get also Almost Human from the IFC Midnight line. This is a little too gory for my taste, and in a really cheesy way. But minus the gore, if you close your hands for the gore and all the nastiness, it's got a certain kind of outbacky, Hills Have Eyes-ish, Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of groove to it. So, so about a half an hour of that one as well. I will probably finish that one at some point. This is one of my favorite of the week. What do you think of that artwork, Mark?
Kill zombies? What does that say?
But look, kill zombie.
Right.
Kill zombie, but look at the whole. It's like
doing like the surfer.
The surfer symbol, yeah.
Dude surfer symbol.
It's awesome.
With the pinky and the.
Exactly.
What's this finger called? Wait, I forgot. The pinky and the
the index, the ring,
the index finger.
Yeah, okay, the pinky and the index finger. Yes,
it's called an index finger.
Whatever.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug weight.
So basically, this thing is just ridiculous. This is completely off the wall, and it's a whole lot of fun. It's from Well Go. This is a Blu-ray, and the idea is that a Russian space station. This is interesting with the World Cup and the Dutch having such a great win now. Well, Amsterdam it's not Tokyo, it's not New York, it's Amsterdam. A Russian space station hits Amsterdam, and this horrible virus erupts and turns people into zombies. And from there on, it's basically a pretty ordinary zombie movie, except it manages to be tongue-in-cheek enough that you can just kind of roll with it. It's sillier than most, and I appreciate the silliness. Let me just knock through a couple more, and I'll certainly save the rest of these for next week. Devil's Due, not bad. Allison Miller has done a few things. This manages to actually take its horrorness a little bit more seriously. If you've seen anything that deals with, first of all, if you've seen The Omen, if you've seen Rosemary's Baby, the whole idea of the Antichrist and evil babies, or even It. Remember It?
I loved it.
It was good, right?
See, back in the early '80s, I like those movies. Yeah. It's Alive.
Yeah. Well, this is part of that. This is part of that whole thing. Young couple going to have a baby, and of course, it takes all of those same evil, horrible, psychotic twists and turns. But it doesn't. It manages to be referential to the genre, but still kind of forge its own way. And you got some decent extras on here as well. Worth checking out, again, if you're a fan of the genre. This also has an ultraviolet copy on it. Blu-ray, DVD, and ultraviolet all on the same deal. And then Haunt from IFC Midnight tries to put a new spin on the old haunted house thing. There was a family that was slaughtered there. The ghosts are still loitering around. And new family in the house gets in touch with the ghost. Got to figure all this stuff out. It's kind of the usual thing. How do we redeem the ghosts so that they can leave the home and all that kind of stuff. We've seen this a million times. But the guy who directed it, Matt Carter, has a certain flair. So he'll probably have some other films that he'll step into coming up in the future. So good luck to him. And Mark, let's do some listener mail now.
Can I sing the listener mail song?
There is no listener mail song, Mark. We don't have a listener mail song.
I could write one.
I know you could, but I'd rather you not. First of all, very, very good inquiry from Tim Teets, who said, I am a DVD Blu-ray collector. Tim's been a long-time listener, with a collection of 440 DVDs and Blu-rays and growing. Oh,
bless you.
Bless you. That's so cute. 440.
So you're the one.
And I often
collects these things.
And I often set many goals for myself when it comes to collecting. The next goal I have is to collect all the movies you guys have done a commentary on together. So, quick question: could you possibly list all the DVDs you have done commentary on? Mark, I'll bet you couldn't do it. Could you?
No.
I had to go dig them up.
We did a bunch. Now he emailed us.
Yes, he did.
Did you email him back?
I did. I sent him the list.
Well, why didn't you did not CC me on that email?
I didn't.
No.
Really?
I was wondering whether you were going to email him back.
Oh
or
yeah,
not.
yeah, I did. I thought you were CC'd on that.
I was not.
I'm so retarded. I'm sorry.
Okay. We did the Denis Cote, right? That guy, the French guy,
oh my gosh,
the
this will
Canadian
take
guy?
forever if I let you try to remember them all. Here's what we did. We did Armless. Remember Armless?
Yes.
Yes. We did Becoming Eduardo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
The Bird Can't Fly. Remember with Barbara Hershey?
Oh, with Barbara Hershey, right? I remember that.
Carcasses is the Denis Cote film.
Which is good.
This is good. It's really good. Insignificant Others. Remember Significant Others?
Oh, yeah. I think we said it was good, but it was lame.
Yeah. Jester Till.
Of the animated film.
The animated film.
That was really
for
lame.
sure. Yeah.
We said it was good.
Lily's Thorn. Remember that? That was that film that was shot in that little town back
Yes.
east and all local money. Pinprick.
Is that about the guy who...
You don't even remember anymore.
I don't.
And then The Symmetry of Love.
I have no idea what that is. I really don't. What's Symmetry of Love? What is that?
It was a romantic kind of a deal. So those are the films that we did all for Vanguard. So those are the films that we did commentary on. And then a really interesting point from Walter Gass, longtime listener as well. He said about Veronica Mars, totally a Nancy Drew update and a very good one. The TV show ran for 3 seasons and 2 of them were really, really good. The 3rd was good but smacked of network interference. If you like Nancy Drew, I recommend the 1st season of Veronica Mars. I, of course, saw the movie, and having all the background info, enjoyed it. It's a lesser story, but fondness for the characters carried me through. I did think it was really unfortunate because it didn't feel accessible to new viewers, which should have been the point. It also had a limited theatrical run, which is why it only made $3 million, and this is what I wanted to get to. This is the important point. He says it was released at the same time on VOD. I don't know what that made, but I suspect it made its money back and then some. Really good point, because... the movies, we always talk about what movies do in the box office, but so many of these things from IFC and from Magnolia and from other companies, they're getting released simultaneously or relatively concurrently on VOD as well. And those numbers steal from the box office, but they don't get reported along with the box office. So sometimes when we talk about, Veronica Mars only made $3 million, we don't really know how much it made on VOD. That should all be sort of included.
Oh, 100%.
It should be, but 100%. They're not doing that.
But here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Do these reporting companies consider VOD its home video release?
Yeah.
Or as part of its theatrical release? Because when it comes to accounting, there's the theatrical release and there's all the ancillary home video.
We're just going to have to step away from all those paradigms. Those paradigms are dead. They're gone. They're over.
Well, I mean, TV's having the same problem. Because Nielsen is finally starting to realize that Live plus 3, Live plus 7, Live plus 5, it's all a legitimate number.
Yeah, well.
But these are ingrained, long-standing beliefs that need to be exploded.
Very true.
And rethought. And by the way, wait, can I say something?
Yes.
I just watched the trailer for Symmetry of Love.
Yes.
We did not do that movie. I have never seen this movie in my life.
Symmetry of Love?
Did we really do this movie?
We did.
We did?
Yeah.
It's a romantic comedy about a guy who does something.
Honestly,
I don't think we did that.
This is why we see too many movies. I'm not kidding you. There are weeks where I will do the radio. I'm not kidding you. And it takes usually about 2 weeks worth of watching links and screeners and screenings to see all the movies that I have to do for radio. I kid you not. There are days.
Hey, we did do it.
Yeah, of course we did. Mark, there are days. Listen to me. You're where like Thursday will come around. The producer on the show, the producer on Film Week, will call us all up, and we'll go down the list of films, and we'll say, did you see this? They're just making sure we saw this film. They'll say this film, and I'm like, what was that again? What's the name of that title? What's it about? Like, that doesn't ring. No, don't put me down for that one. I'll go check. And then I get home and I look at my list, and I'm like, son of a bitch, I did see that movie. I don't even remember it. And then I've got to like go back and I got to look at it, and then I'm like, oh yeah, and within 5 or 6 days, I've completely forgotten that I saw the movie and I have no recollection of it. And that's not senility. That's just seeing too much. That's just having too much crap going on upstairs.
Well, I'm on BarnesandNoble.com and I'm in the Symmetry of Love page, and it says special features, behind the scenes, trailer, audio commentary by the Digigods.
There you go.
What do you know?
Yeah.
We did. By the way, Barnes & Noble needs to... By the way, we need to say goodbye to the show.
Yes,
the show is over.
Two emails left. Just two
Criterion's half price. Barnes & Noble's,
yep,
every once in a while, has a half price Criterion sale.
Yes.
They need to do it now.
Real quickly, just two last. One from Kyle Stevens. Strange question. Is it true that Top Gun is really a struggle about a man and his sexuality? After watching it again, I do see a bunch of homoerotic overtones. Your thoughts? And I wrote him back. I told him that Pauline Kael was the one who sort of forged that idea originally, and thought that it was just overtly homoerotic in every conceivable way. You know, I'm going to ride your tail and all that stuff. And Tarantino, being a big fan of Pauline Kael, actually had a little monologue that elaborates on all of that in the film Sleep With Me, which was directed by Rory Kelly. Rory Kelly was a guy that I was in film school with who hasn't done anything since, which I don't understand, because to me he was like the guy who ran the equipment office. And I was like, hey, Rory, how you doing? Can I get a camera today? Or can I get some, like lighting? Okay, here you go. And he wound up directing this movie and did a great job. It's really good, fantastic movie in every conceivable way. Tarantino's very funny in that little cameo in the party scene. I don't know what happened. Rory needs to make more movies. That was a million years ago. So anyway, but, again, it's, a lot of people claim that Ben-Hur has all kinds of homoerotic stuff in it as well, and I'm far less certain of that, even if Gore Vidal insists that, he put them in there. And then lastly, Chevelle Dixon writes and says, as I try to expand my film knowledge and watch films from the greats, I'm always unsure where to start. For certain directors, should I start with the earlier films, or should I watch some of their later stuff and work backwards? For example, my first Bergman film was his only comedy, Smiles of a Summer Night, and I really liked it, but should I have started with his other serious work like The Seventh Seal or The Virgin Spring? Mark, your thoughts?
I don't
I know, it's a tough question.
It is a tough question.
I don't know that there's a right answer to that.
There really is no right answer. I think doing it chronologically from beginning to end, I guess you would see the evolution. Now, Wade and I had seen Stanley Kubrick's...
with Kubrick and David Lean,
right.
I saw all of their later greater work first, and then with Lean, I go back and you discover like Blithe Spirit and the Dickens films and Breaking the Sound Barrier and all these earlier films, and you're like, oh wow, some interesting work there, but it's not as great as the later stuff. And I'm not sure if I'd started with the earlier stuff, I would have really gained anything from it. I mean, the later stuff with Kubrick, if you're missing out on Killer's Kiss, I think you're okay. I really do. It's fine. You don't need to sort of see the evolution. With Kubrick, you can pretty much start from Lolita and go all the way to Eyes Wide Shut, and that's the important body of work. Sure, you can throw Paths of Glory in there at some point, and Spartacus is not a very good movie, but Kubrick even admitted that. So I mean, those things are. I don't know. I think personally, you go for the work that is most acclaimed.
I would go for the work that's most acclaimed because if you start with an earlier film where he was still working out his style, you may not be tempted to keep going because you didn't enjoy it as much.
There you go.
But if you start with something that's amazing, you'd go, wow, I want to explore more of his work because that first film was so good.
There we go. And that's it. All right. We'll be back next week.